We're just days away from my favorite show of the year, WWE Royal Rumble. Continuing with my predictions for every pay-per-view leading up to WrestleMania 30, here's what I'm thinking going into this epic show. As always, let's take a look at how I did last month at TLC Tables, Ladders, and Chairs. So the matches I got wrong for TLC were the pre-show bout between Dolph Ziggler and Fandango, the Divas title match with AJ Lee defending against Natalya, as well as the 3-on-1 handicap match CM Punk was involved with against The Shield. That brings my year-to-date record that started at Extreme Rules 2013 to 44 right and 22 matches wrong. So up first on the pre-show is a Tag Team Championship match as Cody, Rhodes, and Goldust battled the New Age Outlaws of Billy Gunn and Road Dogg. It was definitely cool to see the Outlaws back on Old School Raw a few weeks ago and then also tag with CM Punk a little later on in the week on SmackDown. But aside from that, I think they've kind of overstayed their welcome. If the Brotherhood were facing any other tag team like the Real Americans or even possibly Ryback, I may have gone with the challengers, but in this one, I really can't see the 5-time World Tag Team Champion Outlaws get another run with the gold. But then again, stranger things have happened. So Daniel Bryan finally gets his hands on Bray Wyatt in our next match, which should be about that everybody's eyes are on. Bray was able to seemingly get Bryan to join the Wyatt family at the beginning of the year, but I, for one, am glad that it led to perhaps one of the best endings to Raw in recent memory, when Bryan got the cult leader alone in a cage-surrounded ring. It's no secret that the fans of WWE love Bryan, but the company seems to be holding their breath on going full steam with the Bryan bandwagon in favor of pushing bigger guys like Batista or Brock Lesnar. A win here from Bryan should definitely close the chapter on this rivalry and hopefully set Bryan up for a huge program leading up to WrestleMania 30. So I gotta ask, is it 2003 again? Because we're getting Big Show versus Brock Lesnar on pay-per-view. 11 years ago, this match actually took place at the exact same show with Lesnar winning, and it's hard for me not to go with the Beast in this bout once again. Now, Brock's on a quest to win the WWE Championship, and I definitely am curious to see how it plays off for him in the coming weeks, but a victory here against the world's largest athlete should only help build his resume as being a legitimate threat to the championship. And of course, speaking of the title, Randy Orton will be defending the WWE Championship against John Cena at the Royal Rumble in what could be the most predictable match on the card. The one good thing that I can say about this rivalry is that I'm actually starting to kind of dig the paranoid Randy Orton, as he's constantly freaking out now about the amount of challengers who are lining up to take his gold. So I think it's making an interesting plot, and I hope that we see this get even more exposed as we head to Elimination Chamber. With him just unifying the belt at TLC last month, I can't see the Viper lose the titles just yet and expect to see his paranoia continue to rise. And finally, the match that we're all waiting to see, the 2014 Royal Rumble match. This has always been one of my favorite matches of the year, but I've got to be honest, this year's edition kind of has me worried. I'm going to be discussing this a lot more in my next episode of Ring Awareness, so I'm not going to talk too much about it here, but since these are my predictions, I'm going to go ahead and roll the dice and go with Daniel Bryan to get the guaranteed WWE Championship match at WrestleMania 30, because let's face it, he deserves it, and to me, that's best for business. So there are my predictions for the first stop on the road to WrestleMania. Like I mentioned, for more details on the actual Royal Rumble match, listen to Ring Awareness, as I should have episode 2 up very soon. Thank you guys once again for listening, and I hope you all enjoy the Royal Rumble.